An abridgment of Thomas Manton's commentary on the Epistle of James chapter 3 verse 17d. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. In continuing his exposition on the qualities of true wisdom, James now highlights its practical and moral dimensions, showing that wisdom is not just intellectual or speculative, but deeply relational, influencing how we interact with others. He begins by focusing on the mercy and fruitfulness that flow from a heart shaped by divine wisdom. True wisdom, James says, is full of mercy, extending compassion to both those who offend us and those who are in need. Regarding those who offend, James echoes the wisdom of Proverbs. It is to his glory to overlook an offense. Proverbs 19 verse 11. In our human nature, we may see clemency as weakness, interpreting the act of overlooking an offense as a lack of courage or spirit. However, from a biblical perspective, it is to our honor to forgive, for there is greater strength in pardon than in revenge. This kind of mercy reflects the heart of God, who shows boundless mercy to sinners, and thus it is a mark of true wisdom to imitate that mercy in our dealings with others. Moreover, true wisdom shows mercy to those who are in need. Paul exhorts believers in Colossians 3 verse 12, saying, "As God's chosen people, clothe yourselves with compassion." Mercy, in this sense, is not optional. It is an essential garment of the Christian life. Without it, we are spiritually naked and unfit before God. True wisdom moves beyond mere intellectual assent and shows itself in acts of love and kindness toward those who are suffering or in need. The next characteristic James highlights is that wisdom is full of good fruit. This is wisdom in action. Religion, James reminds us, is not a barren tree. The person who possesses true wisdom does not merely contemplate moral truths, but embodies them in their daily life. The godly person, filled with grace, becomes the best of neighbors, showing kindness and generosity in everyday actions. Sadly, some may mistake piety for a rejection of common decency, but true religion does not strip away our humanity, it enhances it. Rather than producing sour or bitter fruit, wisdom grows good and sweet fruit, making the Christian not just morally upright, but also genuinely kind and gracious in every aspect of life. James further emphasizes that true wisdom is impartial. The King James Version translates this as without partiality, meaning it does not show favoritism. True wisdom does not treat people differently based on their external circumstances, such as wealth, status, or appearance. Foolishness, by contrast, is easily dazzled by outward splendor and often judges people by superficial standards. The Apostle Paul warns against this when he urges Christians not to regard people from a worldly point of view. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 16. Wisdom, however, looks deeper, valuing people based on their intrinsic worth as image-bearers of God, rather than by the fleeting measures of worldly success. Alternatively, the term impartial can be understood as without wrangling or without suspicion. A wise person is not constantly embroiled in disputes or inclined to pick apart every perceived fault in others. There is a tendency among some to insist on listening to every word spoken by others, always ready to pounce on a misstep or offense. Yet Ecclesiastes offers this counsel: do not pay attention to every word people say, or you may hear your servant cursing you. Ecclesiastes 7 verse 21. Such constant scrutiny and judgment often lead to unnecessary conflict and strife. The truly wise person is not quick to judge or criticize, but is instead slow to anger and quick to extend grace. Furthermore, wisdom does not seek to bring others down to its level through harsh criticism. As James points out, fools are often the harshest critics, and their judgments are rooted in pride. Because they cannot raise themselves to the level of others, they seek to lower others through demeaning words and criticisms. But true wisdom seeks to build up, not tear down. It aims to restore and reconcile, rather than criticize and condemn. Another key aspect of wisdom is its sincerity. True wisdom, James emphasizes, is genuine and without guile. The Christian who possesses this wisdom strives to be what they appear to be, avoiding hypocrisy in all their actions. Hypocrisy, according to Scripture, is not only foolish but self-destructive. The hypocrite deceives no one more than themselves, for while they may fool others for a time, they cannot escape the judgment of God. Jesus warned of this in Matthew 24 verse 51, where he speaks of the fate of hypocrites. He will assign him a place with the hypocrites. Hypocrisy is a short-sighted attempt to gain favor in this life, but it leads to eternal ruin. Sincerity, on the other hand, is a hallmark of true Christian wisdom. As Paul writes in 2 Corinthians 1 verse 12, our conscience testifies that we have conducted ourselves in the world, in the holiness and sincerity that are from God. We have not done so according to worldly wisdom, but according to God's grace. A wise Christian conducts themselves with integrity, not only in their relationship with God, but also in their dealings with others. This sincerity flows from a heart transformed by grace, a heart that loves truth and seeks to live authentically before God and man. The Scriptures call for both sincere faith, 1 Timothy 1 verse 5, 2 Timothy 1 verse 5, and sincere love, 1 Peter 1 verse 22, 2 Corinthians 6 verse 6. This sincerity is more than mere words. It must manifest itself in action. As the Apostle John admonishes, let us not love with words or tongue, but with actions and in truth. 1 John 3 verse 18. Genuine love, the fruit of true wisdom, shows itself in tangible acts of kindness and service. It is not enough to profess love for others. We must be willing to do good for them, even when it costs us something. In conclusion, James paints a picture of true wisdom that is both deeply practical and profoundly spiritual. It is a wisdom full of mercy, good fruit, impartiality, and sincerity. It does not cling to legalistic rigor but shows a gracious, generous spirit toward both friends and offenders. It is a wisdom that bears fruit in daily life, making the Christian a blessing to those around them. This wisdom seeks peace, avoids contention, and remains pure and undivided in its devotion to God and neighbor. In all these ways, it reflects the character of Christ, who is himself the wisdom of God, 1 Corinthians 1 verse 24, and who calls us to walk in his ways, showing mercy, bearing good fruit, and living in sincerity and truth.